Session is about for people who either have had some experience with Office 365, who've heard of it but didn't really know what it is. What my intention here is just to give you a very high level overview of what Office 365 is and what it can do for you. You know, as it pertains to a startup school environment, right now you're starting up your business. You don't have right now a lot of employees, but that could change down the road as your businesses progress and as things grow, right? And that's the beauty of this software, that it grows with you as things take off. It provides a lot of functionality. When you see the functionality that's there now, it will, to be honest, it'll probably scare you because there's a lot of stuff there. But you know, you don't have to do everything right out of the box. There's a couple of pieces there that you might be comfortable with. For example, if you're already using some of the desktop applications like Word, Excel, or PowerPoint or Outlook, you'll feel comfortable with them, and then you can start expanding out on your own as you feel confident or as the need arises for you to do things. So, about me. So just a very high level thing. I'm a passionate Office 365 SharePoint Teams consultant based in Canada. I've got 15 years of SharePoint experience. So SharePoint really is my forte. And I don't know if you know what SharePoint is. It's more of an intranet builder platform to build a corporate intranet behind a firewall. So I've got 15 years of that experience for both on-premise, so where you have the servers actually in your IT room, or online through Microsoft Office 365. SharePoint started in 2001, went to 2003, 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016, and now they're on 2019. So there's various versions of the on-premise. On-premise is great for people who don't want to open up their firewall, but it means there's a huge amount of administrative work that they have to do behind the scenes to make sure that the environment is up and running. That includes patches, security updates, you know, server maintenance and things like that. And with the online version of SharePoint, you don't worry about that because that's all done by Microsoft. So 15 years of SharePoint experience, 5 years Office 365 and Microsoft Teams experience, 15 years project server experience. Have anybody ever used Microsoft Project or Project Server or Enterprise Project Management? No, you haven't, Jeff? No? Okay, so it's Microsoft had an application called Microsoft Project, which manages projects. They can be small scale, large scale, or whatever. And they built an enterprise solution back end as a server. So it started as an on-premise solution. I introduced that to the LCBO back in 2003, and we implemented it to manage all of our IT projects, of which we had like 100 a year, type of thing. And so it was great to keep track of all those projects and to keep track of all the resources in those projects. That whole ballywag has now been brought online, so it's now into the online space with Office 365. It is something that you can purchase with your Office 365 subscription, but it doesn't come with it out of the box. And I'll show you later some things that come with Office 365 and some things that are value add that you have to pay for. There's not very many of them, but there are a few of them. So I've got over 30 years of analyzing and implementing technology to meet the needs of business. Like I said, I started this in 1989, so I've been a long time on the road. I am a Microsoft partner, albeit a small partner. I don't have gold or silver. I'm just a basic level partner, but I am licensed to sell Microsoft Office if that's what I wanted to or whatever. And please keep in mind that that's not the intent of this session. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to help. Okay, so, you know, and I'm sure there's partners in the UK. Again, Mark Jones, who might, and you, Laura, yeah, who could help with that. So I am a Microsoft partner, and I'm also a member. I don't know if you're a member of this, Laura, IAMCP, which is the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners. That's an add-on cost too, so it's more a worldwide group of Microsoft partners. there's my LinkedIn URL, and there's my email address. God forbid, that's a huge thing. But yeah, so that's why I put it in there in case anybody wanted to copy it. So the agenda, very basic. There's about 8 things here. So we're going to talk about working better together. We're going to talk about building for tomorrow using Office 365. I'm going to give you a demonstration, going to go over some of the Office 365 business plans if you're interested in purchasing, because there are different levels of Microsoft Office that you can acquire. Office 365 resources, so some resources that you can have access to. And if you downloaded the PDF, all of those links that are in the resources, you'll be able to access. So that won't be a problem. And then a small Q&A. In the demo part, what I would like to do, and Laura and I have talked about it, is I'm not going to show you how everything works because we would be here for a week. And so there's a lot of stuff. I'm going to show you some of the neat stuff, some of the new stuff that's come out in terms of some of the applications. So keeping in mind that Office 365 also includes, if you buy it or subscribe to it, it includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Access. It includes those desktop applications, but it also includes the online versions of those applications, okay? So that you don't need to have your computer with you if you need to work, because the online versions of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint are very, very powerful. And in some instances, they're more powerful than the desktop versions because of some of the things they can do online. So you'll get both the desktop apps and you get the online version of the apps as well. Again, it's software as a service. So we'll cover that in a minute. So what is Office 365? Office 365 is a fee-based software as a service solution that includes Microsoft Office and other services such as email and collaboration. And they all reside on Microsoft's cloud server. Microsoft Office 365 provides desktop functionalities using the apps you already know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and it is available by subscription. Microsoft got smart a couple of years. They realized you had all these big versions of Office they were rolling out and would only get revenue every 3 or 4 years when people upgraded, or if they did upgrade to the latest version. But by doing it as software as a service, you get your money every year. But it's not a right. But you also get free updates to the software, and you get new functionality if it happens to occur in the year. So you get your desktop apps again, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and more, which are updated monthly with the latest features and the latest security updates. You know, Jeff, do you remember having to go through and updating your Microsoft Office or your Windows and how long that would take? Well, the beauty of this, Jeff, is it does it all in the background for you. It may come up with a dialog box saying, oh, we've just upgraded your Office for you. You may need to reboot, type of thing. And that would be it. But it's not something you actually have to go and start yourself. Once it gets set up, it does it automatically in the background, and basically it's a hands-off scenario, which is really good. So with your subscription, you get the latest Office apps, depending on the package that you get. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, the ability to install on PCs, Macs, tablets, and phones, okay? So you have the ability to install it on there. You get 1 terabyte of OneDrive cloud storage. Now, Jeff, do you use Dropbox or anything else or anything like that, or is all your file on your computer? Oh, okay.
I'm muting then. Yeah, so I've got cloud storage that comes with my 365.
Okay, so you've already got 365, but is it more of a personal version you have, or?
I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it is a personal version. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a monthly subscription.
Yeah, the same as this, and you probably see that when I go through later on what different packages are available, right? So, so that's basically it. So while we're talking about it, there's generational preferences at work. So, you know, for example, and you've probably seen this in larger organizations, probably not in your startup right now, But for organizations that have a multi-generational workforce, it's important to understand the demographics, how best to find the balance across all these generations. If you're an organization that heavily relies on email, so like older farts like me, what are you doing for your new workers? Because your new workers tend to be more social, right? So are you giving them the tools that they need to be effective? So for example, I fall into this boat, the baby boomers, so we more or less prefer in-person meetings, sometimes online meeting, a lot more times online meeting, but no video. They don't want to show their face, right? Outlook email, we live and die by Outlook. We're not too much into Teams, and we're kind of getting started with instant messaging. But this whole thing about social networking, persistent chat like WhatsApp and things like that's foreign to us, right? And it's hard for us. Go to the next generation, which is 65 to 79. They're more half interested in in-person meetings. They really want online meetings. Outlook is still important. Teams, working in teams is very important, and instant messaging is very important. And here we're starting to see the takeoff into social networking and persistent chat. Well, if you move into the millennials, which I've got two of those living in my house, right? Is that you, Laura? You're a millennial? Okay, so they're not too keen on in-person meetings, maybe 50-50. Online, definitely. Outlook email is kind of fading away a little bit. Teams is really important. It's really starting to pick up. Instant messaging is so important. And here we see a huge change into enterprise social networking and persistent chat. That is really starting to drive how those people work, how they want to work. And then when we get into Generation Z, which is my youngest daughter, she still likes, she actually does like in-person meetings, but a lot of her stuff is online meetings, and it's a lot of social networking and persistent chat. So it's amazing, as you go through the different generations, who likes to do what. And so you've got this problem if you have an organization that happens to have all these different generations. Well, how do you accommodate them? How do you make it so that people can work together, right? And that's kind of the beauty of Office 365, because you can tailor certain things for certain areas, certain people, for them to work that way. Or if there's some things that the millennials don't like, they'll do it partially, but it also involves baby boomers, right? So that's something to consider. So collaboration, how work gets done. So employees work nearly 2 times on the number of teams compared to 5 years ago. And now with this whole Corona thing, we've seen that just take off exponentially, right? So there's internal and external team members. So, people who you work with in your company. If it's a small company, it's probably just yourself and maybe somebody else right now. But who's to say that doesn't change in a couple of months or whatever? Your group or your team might be geographically distributed. So for example, the two of you are in the UK, here I am in Canada, so we're kind of geographically distributed. And then a multi-generational workforce. So yeah, I can see that here. So yeah, so I'm at that one end and you guys are at the other end. But doesn't mean we can't get things done, right? So I'm gonna now let me grab a drink before I start this. This is what's called the Office 365 periodic table of applications. Please do not let this scare you. But it is a good way of trying to figure out, what is available in Office 365. So one of the things that I want to point out to first is these one, the dollar signs, Dynamics, Visio Online, and Project Online here. All are extra value. They do not come with Office 365. You can get them. And so for example, I do a lot of flow charts and drawings. So I've purchased Visio Online because that lets me do my flow charts, my Gantt charts, not Gantt charts, but process flows and everything. And I find it's a great tool. And I can use it on a Mac too, because Microsoft doesn't have Visio for the Mac. Have any of you used Visio before? It's a great application. I'd be lost without it. And so and then again, here's Project Online. So Microsoft Project, anything to do with that is here. So what I'm going to do is go through some of these. So the first one, Calendar. So Calendar itself is integrated into Outlook. So it's a calendar application that allows you to schedule, accept meetings and events. So your calendar can be shared amongst your team members if they're part of your organization, and automatic reminders can be set up with custom alerts. Have we all used Outlook before? So we're all kind of used to using calendars. Okay. Delve is where is Delve here? It kind of fell off the table for Microsoft, but it's making a comeback. And I'm just trying to, here it is here, Delve. And what that stores is employee profiles. So it's a document manager that allows you to bookmark the files you need from SharePoint. Keeping in mind that SharePoint is the back-end corporate intranet that holds all your information in your company together. You can see which members of your team are working on specific documents and view their profiles. Delve also allows you to edit your Office 365 profile, such as your picture and your job role. And that would come down later into other things. Microsoft Dynamics. Now, Laura, you did some work with Dynamics before, did you? Or not really? Okay. Well, Dynamics is all
recruiting people, but never using it.
Okay. So Dynamics it's basically like a Salesforce. It's a CRM application. It's a big cash cow for Microsoft. Now they have included the basic part of Dynamics in Office 365, so that, if you get your subscription, you have access to a basic version of Dynamics. And I guess their hope is, okay, well, if you want to go full CRM or Salesforce, you'll buy the modules that you need to organize your business type of thing. But they do include the hooks so that all the applications that we're seeing here talk to Dynamics. Okay, so there's a back and forth communication. So we're looking at a really integrated set. Remember when we had the meeting 2 weeks ago when we were talking about all the apps for financing and payroll and all that, how you needed some integrated suites. This is kind of an integrated suite of all the other stuff. Maybe not the financing, although I'm sure you could do the financing portion of it in Dynamics 365. I myself personally don't have any experience in Dynamics 365, but actually I know of people in the UK. Megan Walker is one of them. She's located in the north of England, and I've asked her to join our group. She does extensive work with Dynamics and automating stuff with Dynamics and Microsoft Forms, and using the Power Apps where you can develop applications that feed information into Dynamics and pull that information out into your other applications if your business needed it. I know, Jeff, we're getting a little ahead of the game here, but it's just to give you an example of what's there. So Microsoft Excel, I think I've just lost my slide here. Okay, wait a minute. Excel is a spreadsheet application that allows you to collect and collate and edit data. We've all used Excel for calculations to be carried out, and that basically makes your work more streamlined. Excel Online is here. So we're just looking at the online apps right now. Now there's another app called Flow. And Flow, has anybody ever done any workflows in previous work? Or have you had to do any workflows where you've taken some information from an application and sent it off somewhere else using a process? I'm gathering none of you have ever used SharePoint Designer to design workflows or anything like that. Okay, that's not a problem, because Flow is a very easy to build. These three apps here, Power Apps, Flow, and Power BI, assist you in developing your own applications so that you don't need a programmer. You can actually use these applications to take information from one part of Office 365 and take it to another application, right? So there's really some really powerful stuff, and I'll try to show you some of that stuff later on in the demo. So Flow is a way to automate your workloads and saves you time in a wide variety of ways. There are hundreds of possibilities to set up on Flow. For an example, how the weather is being sent to your phone, to automatically arranging meetings, and keeping in mind, we're always thinking this tunnel vision. Oh, well, it's going to work on my desktop or something like that. No, you can do these so that because Your Office experience is on your phone too, on your mobile, on your tablet. So you can create these things that work on a tablet or on a phone that feed information back into your computer. This is pretty how that works. Forms, Microsoft Forms. Have anybody ever worked with software before, collecting information from customers or clients or anything, doing anything with that, or doing any sort of survey? Okay, with the forms. So what this allows you to do is to create online forms. There used to be a form software for Microsoft called InfoPath. Have you ever heard of it, InfoPath? It's gone by the way of the dodo now. It's being replaced by forms. And so you can build surveys and quizzes with tons of application and customization. And the results that you collect in forms can be exported into Excel, and then you can analyze your results and tabulate your data. The background of all of this stuff in Office 365 is done through groups, and I don't think groups is shown here. It's a back-end service. So what groups is, in Outlook, do you remember your old distribution groups? You know, when you created a distribution list for sending out emails to multiple people, or you had multiple clients. Did you ever do that, where you create a distribution list? So groups is like that. It's like the old security groups, but it's more powerful and it's connected. So Office 365 groups, it's a way of grouping individuals logically, much like any other group that you've used before. But the difference lies in how it integrates with Office 365. So when you create a group of people in Office 365, there's some products that are automatically assigned to that group. One of those products is SharePoint. Another product is Microsoft Teams. Another product is Outlook. So those three products work together with the group, and it stays with that group. And if you want to add people to a Teams instance, you would just add them to the group, and they get everything that the group has access to. So there's a lot of flexibility there. So it's just a little bit of a change in a mindset. And to be honest, there's plenty of help out there on how to do that. You know, I can help you. Mark Jones can help you. You know, there's lots of people, freelancers available if you're having a little bit of an issue. OneDrive. Okay, so now you've all got OneDrive, right? Or you've got some form of it, depending on the subscription that you have. OneDrive itself is an online cloud storage system. So with Office 365, it comes with a terabyte of storage per user, which should be plenty for most people. So what you can do is you can, it's called OneDrive for Business. And so what you do is you basically take your personal document library on your computer and sync it with OneDrive. So that means OneDrive will sync your desktop documents into the cloud. And then that way, if something ever happened to your computer, you'll always have your documents with you. They're never lost. And when your computer comes back online, it would download any differences that you've done while your computer was offline. So let's say you were working in the office, you were working on some documents, you saved them to your documents library on your desktop, got synced to OneDrive, you go home and you're on somebody else's computer and you're just coming in through a browser, you can work on those documents and pick up exactly where you left off. Save that document, and then it gets saved to OneDrive. And then when you go back into your office and you start up your computer, it picks up where you left off, where you were in the cloud. So it's really very, very powerful. So it includes a sync offline tool, which allows users to work with those files when a connection isn't possible. Like, for example, if you went away to a resort or a cottage where there's no Wi-Fi, right? You still want to be able to work with your documents. So you could sync before you go, and then you could work with your documents. Then when you come back into range, you can do a sync again, and you have your files available to you. The other thing is it is OneNote. OneNote is have you used Evernote before? Yeah. I know Louise uses Evernote quite a bit. OneNote is you create notes and you create notebooks by writing in. Think of OneNote as like a digital notepad. So you pick up where you left off on another device and share notes with your team. Like Evernote, it's a note-taking app that facilitates working as a team within a notebook. So you can have multiple people working in the same notebook, making notes, making pages, making annotations, and you can be working together on the same notebook, especially if that notebook is part of a team that you're a member of, right? The last thing I want to really talk about, Microsoft Planner, is this application here. So there's three apps in Office 365. There's Tasks, which are your Outlook tasks. There's Microsoft To Do, which is a new to-do list, and there's Planner. Now, thank God you're coming in at a time where Microsoft says, well, why do we have all three of these? They're going to combine Tasks, To Do, and Planner into one application. So I'm just going to give you an overview of what Planner does. So Planner is like a Kanban board system where you set up cards of things I've got to do. So it's like putting sticky notes. So I've got to do a marketing survey. Oh, I've got to do some research. Oh, I've got to get some information about this. And you create these little tasks that you can assign to yourself or you can assign to others who are members of your team, and you keep track of those tasks. So it's like a mini version of Microsoft Project, but it's much easier to use and much easier to visualize because it's more of a visual interface than a big, huge project Gantt chart. And so it's very powerful, and it integrates so really well with Microsoft Teams. When I do if and when I do the Teams demo, I will definitely show that because it really is pretty cool as to how you can do that. So that's basically a high-level view of the apps, right? So talking about different groups have different needs. So there's some people who want a chat-based workspace, some people want mail and calendar, some who want voice, video, and meetings. Some people are co-creating content. Some people want to create much larger content and have it available to a much larger group. So they're the sites and content management people. And then there's the enterprise social people who want to exchange knowledge and ideas in a more free-form way using applications such as Yammer, right? Yammer is one of the apps that comes with Microsoft Office 365. So today's challenges that we have siloed apps. So there's frictions across applications. This is more with bigger companies. So you have multiple logins, difficulty sharing and discovering information. Where do I find the latest version of this document? And there's a lot of wasted time switching between different apps to try and figure out, well, did I do this in Excel or did I do it in Word, or where is it, right? And then there's shadow IT, so other applications somehow come in through the back door by people who are just trying to, they're not being nasty, it's just that they thought that these apps might help them, but actually it causes problems down the road, this whole shadow IT thing. Then it becomes a problem because you don't know what's in those shadow IT apps. So Office 365 is designated for the unique work style of every group. So it's got all these things. It's got chat-based workspace, mail and calendar, voice, co-creating content, sites and content management, and enterprise social. And so we talked about this whole concept of Office 365 groups. And Office 365 groups is the kind of the glue that connects all these things together. So it provides a complete solution, it addresses the breadth of collaboration needs across your company. It provides definitely an integrated experience so that you can enable integrated collaboration experiences, and also the whole idea of security and compliance, which is necessary to working today. That may be a little over your head. It's more for larger organizations, but I'm just trying to present some of the picture here, depending on where you might be going or whatever. So Office 365 is your complete office in the cloud. So here we're talking about your desktop app. So you've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. You've got Office Mobile, and you've got Office Online. So there's 3 different versions of Office apps that you have, depending on the device that you have. That plugs into Office 365, and then the whole rest of the pie is business class email, online document storage and file sharing, online meetings, and these are all done through different applications, private social network, technical support, and then a financially backed SLA. So Microsoft is guaranteeing 99.9% uptime. I haven't seen where it's, I may have lost a local connection for one app, like for an hour or something like that, but I've never really, knock on wood, experienced a total, lockdown or anything. And because they're data centers, so you have, I think you have 2 data centers in Europe. In the UK, and I don't know how that worked with Brexit, if that got changed or whatever. I know it was a big thing. Canada got its 2 data centers, so we've got 2 redundant data centers, one in Quebec and one in Ontario. And if one goes down, the other one's always up, type of thing. So it's fault tolerant, and the same thing applies in the UK. So that's why they're saying, oh yeah, 99.9% uptime guaranteed, because there's nothing worse than you're trying to work on something and then, it's down. And the other thing which you don't have any control of, but it can happen to any business, and we've seen this in our presentations, is somebody loses internet connection. What happens there? So you have to be able to do some work while you're offline. Especially if you're doing files through OneDrive and your desktop apps or whatever. If you're using a cloud app, then you wouldn't be able to connect to it because your internet's down. But if you've got your desktop app and your files are in OneDrive or stored locally and you can upload them later, then you can still continue to work. But again, they're promising 99.9% uptime. But again, that doesn't include your local internet service provider. So why does my business need to be prepared? Well, one thing could be my team works from many locations and we need to stay connected no matter what. We need anywhere and anytime access to files and business tools to serve our customers. We need modern solutions that help us collaborate and get work done efficiently. We have customers nationwide. We need to have better tools to stay connected. Here's a big one: 0 downtime is a must. It must be up all the time. Our data needs to be secure, so I need to know that my company is protected from viruses, malware, theft. One of the big things that we were struggling with in Canada, and a lot of organizations did not move to Office 365. A lot of government organizations did not move, was the fact that our data center was in the States. Well, that's a big no-no, because that means Canadian data is stored in a US repository. And then, depending on who's in power and who likes to look at things, it could be an issue. So once we got our own data centers, that changed the rule book. And so all Canadian government agencies or businesses or whatever they are in the Canadian data centers. And that's a huge sigh of relief, because now we no longer have to worry about that. Because I hate to say it, but I don't trust them. So, you just never know what they're going to do, right? So the next thing is the vision. So you have business process automation, team collaboration, office automation, all happening over time, and what the value of that becomes, right? That's the reality. So how can Office 365 elevate your business so you can be productive anywhere, so you can modernize your workforce through Office 365, access your data and work efficiently from anywhere, work better together, so you're connecting employees, partners, and customers. And in your nature of business, is it a requirement, Laura or Jeff, to have your customers or your clients connect to you and be part of your solution? Is that something that you're looking at down the road? Or yeah, kind of a nod, or yeah?
Sometimes it depends if we're working externally with a business or internally. So working as like an internal consultant, then yeah.
Yeah. So you would have files for a client. It's stored on your system, but would they have access to those files to be able to do? Is that what you're doing, like via Dropbox and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, and also things like project management tools. Sometimes we'll usually share those sorts of things, and things like
Okay.
Team Tailor for recruitment processes. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so you've got the need to be able to work with your clients, your customers, and to be able to share information back and forth. The next thing is you need to protect what matters. So the security, so it's very enterprise grade security protection and for business continuity. Know your files can be securely backed up and recovered and accessed from anywhere. So that's huge. And then the other thing is, and it's kind of why we're here, is build for tomorrow, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So you can meet your business goals by doing a very basic investment, like purchasing Office 365 initially and just using a few of the features or whatever. But as your business grows and as things become more complex and you hire more people or whatever, or you grow more customers, your client base or whatever, it allows you the freedom to use that technology investment that you're already paying for on a monthly basis and expand it out without any incremental cost. You're already paying for it, right? So it's always there type of thing. So that's one of the nice things. I can, I may not use this now, but I'm thinking of, there's a possibility I might use some of this down the road type of thing. And it's always good to know that that's there. And the expertise is there to help you do it too, if you need to. So a big point here is being productive anywhere. So here's a guy working obviously on his tablet, in a remote location, doing his office work, right? So you can use Office on all your devices. So be more productive across laptops, tablets, smartphones. Work within one consistent device optimized experience. So it includes the full Office desktop apps. So you can install those desktop apps on 5 PCs or Macs, okay, and 5 mobile devices. So there's 5 desktops, 5 mobile devices you can install the software on. And then that way you've got the software where and when you need it type of thing. And meeting up with all working styles with an intuitive touch, and the interface is very close as you move from device to device. They've tried to keep that consistent so you don't have to learn the wheel all over again when you switch between the two. Access your documents on the go, so you can drag and drop your files directly from your documents folder into OneDrive. You can sync files to your PC for offline access. And then you can quickly find and access files you've recently interacted with. So sync files to devices using OneDrive for Business for offline access, and then automatically resync edits and save and backup files to the cloud. So this is kind of another thing. So it keeps, how many of you have a backup solution right now? How many are, to be honest, how many of you are backing up your files, right? No, I'm not. No. But I use OneDrive, and then that I don't have to worry about that, right? Because I know, okay, well, I'm not backing it up technically, but I've got a copy somewhere else where I don't have to worry about it. If my computer was to get smashed in a hurricane tomorrow or something, no big deal, because I can go to another PC here in the house and keep working type of thing, so it's not a huge deal. Access everything you need from the browser, and this is really cool. So you're working with devices, you're working with iOS devices or whatever, and the way that the software is set up, you can access everything you need using your browser. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're Android, doesn't matter if you're iOS, doesn't matter if you're Windows 10 or whatever. You can access, because the browsers that are supported are quite extensive. So there's Safari, there's Firefox, there's Google Chrome, there's Microsoft Edge, there's, God forbid, Internet Explorer, and other types, right? Opera, so if you have a device with a browser, all you need is that browser to get into the online version of Office 365. You can join web conferences on the go, so you can join meetings with one click from your preferred mobile device. So here's one, oh my God, that's a Windows phone. That's a little old, but okay. You can view the presenter's shared screen or PowerPoint slides on your device as well. You can communicate with clear audio and HD video, and you can connect in new ways with real-time whiteboarding, Q&A, and polling. And I think I've been sending you some stuff, Laura, on how that whiteboarding function works. That's pretty cool too. That's another application that's in Office 365. For Jeff and for Ara, who may not know, there's an application in Office 365. It's a virtual whiteboard. And so you can share with your team. You know how you do planning sessions in your office on a whiteboard. Well, this is just a virtual one, and that you can plan things out. So you can do it either in the whiteboard function, or the other application, which is really for that, is OneNote as well for doing planning like that. They're both work really, really well for like planning sessions. So I just thought I'd put that out there. Create dynamic documents quickly, so you can spend less time processing data and analyzing charts, so you can bring your data in from Excel and use functions that are in Office 365 like Power BI, or you can, or just some of the advanced functions within Excel. There's a whole bunch of new functionality that is built into to Excel that allows you to visualize and drill down into your data as you see fit. So you spend less time processing data and more time analyzing. So there's increased productivity with professional templates. I'm going to show you some templates in a couple of minutes that might help you with that. You ensure consistency with alignment guides, and then you can edit, share, and lock these files. You can save these files as PDFs if you want to, right? So if you don't want them to have actual access. So working better together. How can we work better together? So meet whenever, wherever. So quickly set up or join meetings from any device. Connect with HD video conferencing to reduce travel time and cost. This is so important in this day and age to be able to do this. Stay current by instantly viewing contacts online status. So, you know, if Laura's looking to say, oh, I'd like to reach out to Sarah Davis here. Is she online? Oh, she is online. Okay, maybe I'll reach out to her and give her a quick chat type of thing. You can stay current by instantly viewing contacts' online statuses. And you can also check calendars and schedule. Okay, so we're going back a little bit here. The slide's a little bit old. Link meetings. So Link was, but Teams was before, and partially what Skype was before. Basically, what Microsoft has done is took the functionality that was in Link and Skype for Business, and they've all brought it into Teams. So any of the functionality that was in those previous apps will be in Microsoft Teams. Okay. And also you can communicate with business class email. We're kind of left the email to the last because we're, you know, the way things are, we're more of an immediate, we're trying to get away from email chains and stuff like that. But it is the fallback. You can schedule meetings and calendars with shared calendars. You have 50 gigabytes of mailbox space. So if you are a pack rat and you do have a lot of email, you can store all your messages in there. You stay protected from malware and spam because of the built-in security and email protection that's provided as part of Office 365. And then here we're talking about connecting with partners, so you can share documents from OneDrive for Business. So Laura, this is exactly what I did with you. So I've got a OneDrive for Business, so it's like a big repository, and I'll show the rest of you too, where I keep anything to do with my consulting business, or it could be personal files as well. They're in my OneDrive. So for example, I had the need to share this presentation and a couple of other files with Laura. So all I did was I created a folder in my OneDrive and I gave her read access to it. And so now she can come in at any time she wants and look at these documents. If I gave her edit access, she would have the ability to edit those documents, and I could see the updated version or whatever. So that's OneDrive for Business, right? And you can provide feedback through comments and through a familiar social interface. So, and now this is a cool part. Have any of you ever done this? This is a really neat function where you can work together in real time. So in Office 365, especially if you're using the online apps, so like Word Online, Excel Online, or PowerPoint Online, you can co-author documents with other people in real time. So they can be working on one section of the document, You can be working on another section of the same document. So you can see here in this slide up here, there's two people actually working on this document. One of them is working on this paragraph, one of them is working on that paragraph, and nothing gets lost. And all the information that's input, Office 365 keeps track of who does what and saves it in a version. So when it's finally saved, you know who updated what. So this whole idea of co-authoring, especially if you're working on a business proposal or an RFP or something like that, or a marketing proposal, it has a lot of function, especially if you've got a couple members on your team helping you, right? And now, right now, if it's just yourself, okay, well, that's a nice feature. But if I've got more people down the road who may be helping me or helping me do this, I'm going to invite them into my team or my Office 365 instance to help me write this, and we can write it now. And the beauty of it is you can also chat in the little window beside or spark up a little Teams meeting to say, okay, well, see this paragraph here, I kind of thought that the gist should be X or Y, and, Jeff could come back and said, no, I kind of thought it should be Z type of thing. But that's how you can work collaboratively on documents. So it's really powerful. I don't know if you guys have seen anything like that yet, or if it was available, and if you've used Google. I think Google Docs had that, did it not? Or no?
It looks really cool. Just to let you know, Ivor, I'm just aware people might start joining over the next 10 minutes for the 4 p.m. Just in case.
My God, have I gone
I'm just aware for the screen share. I was trying to get your attention in message to say about the time, but I know obviously you can't read the messages.
Okay, sorry. I should have put my glasses on. So just quickly go through this, build a connected organization, foster communications and conversations. So I want to get to the demo. So you want to build for tomorrow. So you want to grow your business while spending less. So scale services and tools as your business needs shifts, right? And that's the beauty of Office 365. Reach for your business goals with always up-to-date tools, because Microsoft is always, always, always updating and improving. There, you can apply to be on the first band of releases. So if updates get released, you can be part of the first group that get updated, or you can wait for a couple months and get updated down the road. It's however you want it. But the nice thing about this is it's hands off. You don't have to touch it, right? So invest for tomorrow with lower upfront costs, manage your business, reallocate capital. Okay, improve IT flexibility and responsiveness, save time and effort with regular updates and a faster setup process. And again, we're going back to this chart where we're going to be productive anywhere. We want to work better together. We want to protect what matters, but we also want to build for tomorrow. So now I've got the demo. So what I want to do is I'm going to escape out of here. And what I want to do first is I'm going to share a new screen. So new share. So I want to, where's the what I want to share? Okay. So can you see this screen now? Ivor, you're signed out now. So this is when I come into Office 365. So I want to sign in as I am. This is my consulting user address. So I'm going to sign in. It says, okay, well, what is your password? So, okay, so stay signed in. Don't show me this again. Yes. So the first screen that I get presented with is, whoa, it's like a big smorgasbord of what do you want to do today, right? Type of things. So it gives me what up, because it's good morning for me. It's good afternoon for you. Sorry about that. But what it is it shows me the apps that I use most frequently up here. It remembers that, right? Then it shows me recommended files. So it remembers what files I was working on. So here's my presentation. Here's a letter I was writing. Here's a PDF of the presentation. And then it also gives me a listing of all the files and locations and things that I did in OneDrive and SharePoint, and gives me like a very high level view of things that I've been working on recently. So I don't have to go hunting type of thing. So one of the first things I want to do, and I think, yeah, Laura, I think we talked about, I wanted to show you how I use Office 365 for my consulting business. So that's in SharePoint. Since I'm a SharePoint person, I've been a SharePoint person for many years, I created a SharePoint site for my consulting business. So these are all SharePoint sites that I created, right? And there's just a few. I use them as examples when I'm showing clients, right? So I want this site called Ivory Davies IT Consulting Services. So this is a very basic site. It's using what's called this nice web carousel where it has images of different things and they take me to different places. So for example, I had a client, the regional municipality of Halton, where I have all my information for them in a separate site. Same with Exponent Investment Management. I have all their information in a separate site. So if I click on one of these, it'll take me to what's called that subsite. So it's a site underneath this one. Orangutech is a contractor I work for in the Ottawa area where I did extensive remote work for them. And then I've got a site for business documentation. But one of the things I want to show you is I've also got links up here. And one of the links is resources. And what this is, in my time, in like my 3 or 4 years of building this, I have come across a plethora of information that's out there. So these could be PDFs, they could be presentations, they could be technical specs, they could be anything. And what I've done is I've added a couple fields. So what this is called, so this is a SharePoint site. This is a SharePoint document library where you upload documents into. We can get into this more deeper down the road, but this is just one of the things that I do. So I created a document library that stores all of this information because I wanted a place to put it. What I did was I added a couple of fields. These fields are very important because they're called metadata. Have you ever heard of the term metadata? Metadata is basically data about data, right? And so it helps me classify what this is. So for example, this particular document, if I look here, I just move that over, it's a Word document. So that's what I put resource type in. If it's a PDF, I've got it as a PDF. And the way that you can set up this document library is I color code it to whatever the resource type is. So it's a PDF or video PDF. But then I also have another metadata column called product. So is this Office 365? Is it Excel? Is it Teams? So if I want to look at everything that's related to, I want to filter by Teams, I just go there. And now I see everything that I've collected that has to do with Microsoft Teams. If I want to see just I will filter by videos. It will show me only the video content. And so this is a great way of getting at your data very, very quickly using what's called metadata. You create these metadata fields in your SharePoint document library. Again, it's not rocket science. It's easy to set up. You know, there's lots of help available out there, and you know, I'm here if you ever need help like that. So this is one of the things that I do. It allows me to get quick access to information. So for example, if I've got a client, somebody's called me up, Laura called me up and said, Ivor, do you have anything that I might be able to use in terms of video? So these are videos that I've either downloaded or created that might be able to help me. So I can go through and say, yeah, you know, Laura, I've got actually quite a few stuff. I can send you, you know, this information if you want. I could copy this information over into my OneDrive and then give her access to those folders or that information if she needed it, right? And that's the name of the game in this business, because you know, my favorite adage is sharing is caring type of thing, right? So I like to share information. I collect a lot of stuff, but I also like to share it. One of the other things that I do, so this is what's called the document library. This other one is called links to resources. How many times have you found that you know, oh, that's a great website, but I got to write it down somewhere. What am I going to do with it? Where do I put it, right? So I created what's called, this is a SharePoint list. And all this is a list of external sites. Again, I sort it by topic. It gives me the URL, but I sort it by topic. So for example, if I want to see any sites that are related to a Microsoft project, let's say. Okay, I've got two links. So Microsoft project blog and compare project management tools or solutions, right? So if I click on one of these, it takes me to the site comparing project management solutions. So I find that this is a great way for me to keep track of external information out there that I don't know how else I would keep. Like, would I put it in a Word document? But I want to be able to find it as well, right? The other thing that I can do is, if I go back here, back to the root of the site, I can also search for it. So if I want to search for Teams videos, it goes through everything that's in the site and says, okay, well, here's what I found on Teams videos. And it'll show me. It'll show me that some of them are on a SharePoint site, some of them is a PowerPoint presentation, some of them is it's a Word document, some of them are PDFs, and it gives me a little bit of a fun thumbnail. See, look, there's our presentation, better collaboration with Office 365, right? So this is the search function in SharePoint, and it is extremely powerful. If you can't find stuff, you search in SharePoint. It is really well done. And so I've got no fear of not being able to find anything, because the ways I set up a list for all my URLs. I set up a document library, so that it helps me find the resources that I need to do as a contractor. Here's another example, expenses. Now, don't laugh, but here's some of my business's expenses. So these are all Excel spreadsheets that I created. And so this is the actual document, the actual spreadsheet itself that gets uploaded. I give it a description. I give it, when it was purchased, what fiscal year am I in, who the vendor was, or who I purchased the item from, what's the cost. I got to keep track of HST, right? And so things like that. And so I keep a track of all my expenses through a list in SharePoint. A little unwieldy sometimes, but my accountant likes it. So and what I do is see that expenses list. I give my accountant access to that list so that he can come in remotely and see what I've done. The other thing is Exponent. If I go to Exponent and I go to consultant tracking. Consultant tracking is how I track my hours, right? So not a lot of hours here. So by date, I put in how many hours I worked, what was the reason I did, what was the invoice number in the Excel spreadsheet that I did, when it was created, keeps track of my cost, so how much the total cost was, what my HST, because I have to pay, like you have to pay VAT, right, or whatever if you do a service. So I have to pay HST, and so I keep track of that because the government knocks on my shoulder every 3 months and say, you owe us money, right? So I keep track of stuff like that. And I'm able to keep track of all this. Again, my accountant would have access to this. So I don't have it in an accounting system. I created my own accounting system here that my accountant can use to extract information and to do my tax return or whatever, right? The other thing that I had here is, you see this little thing here. This is a Power App. So what I did was I created a Power App that runs on my phone. So my phone here. Laura? So my phone here, I've got an app on there called Consultant Tracking. So when I'm at a consultant's site, I enter in, my hours worked or whatever. So if I was to add a new entry, so just pretend I'm doing this on my phone. So I pick the date, how many hours I worked, what's the invoice number, what's the reason, and are there any attachments I can attach a file. When I save this on this app, it goes back into that list that you just saw, and saves the information there, and it's hands off. Like, so I can do this remotely at a client site using what's called this Power App that talks to a SharePoint list. It's extremely very powerful, and it's got a lot of potential. I know, you know, your these guys' brains are probably full right now, but there's a lot of potential that this can do. You know, so you can develop your own apps to do some of this stuff, right?